Welcome to our deep dive, and today we're tackling the mind of Carl Jung.
Oh, a great choice. His ideas are still so relevant.
Definitely. We wanted to really get a grasp on the unconscious, so we're going straight to Jung's own writings for this one.
I like it, getting right to the source.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So let's dive in. One of the first things that struck me was Jung's idea of the psyche.
Yeah, that's foundational, isn't it? Not just consciousness, but a whole conscious-unconscious system.
Empowered by this thing he calls libido.
Ah, yes, libido. It's more than just sexual energy, though.
Right. I think a lot of people get tripped up on that.
It's psychic energy, the force behind all our psychological processes.
Like the fuel that makes the psyche run, right?
Exactly. It's the driver of our thoughts, our emotions, everything we do, really. And it has this natural flow, which Jung calls progression.
So that's what propels us forward, helps us adapt and grow.
Precisely. But what happens when we hit a roadblock? When something disrupts that flow?
That's where regression comes in, right?
Exactly. It's like hitting a dam in a river. The water can't move forward the way it wants to.
So it has to find a new channel, a new path.
And that new path might lead us into the unconscious.
Ah, yes, the unconscious. This is where things get really interesting. It's not just forgotten memories, is it?
Not at all. It's a powerful force in its own right, shaping how we see the world, influencing our actions. And it even tries to communicate with us.
Through symbols.
Through symbols, yes.
I remember reading about the personal unconscious.
Right. That's where our own repressed material lives, forgotten memories, things we perceive but don't consciously register.
But then Jung takes it a step further with the collective unconscious.
Yes. This is where the archetypes reside, these universal inherited patterns of behavior and perception.
That we all share as humans.
Exactly, like a shared blueprint for human experience. And Jung believed accessing this collective unconscious could offer us a much deeper understanding of who we are in the grand scheme of things.
That's a pretty profound concept. So
Well,
you're saying those weird dreams I have, they could be tapping into something much bigger than just my own personal experiences.
it's definitely a possibility. Think about this snake dream Jung analyzed, for instance.
I think I remember that one.
A young man, heartbroken after a breakup, repeatedly dreams of snakes. The snake in this case points to this primal fear that goes beyond just his personal experience of heartbreak.
It connects him to something deeper.
Exactly. Something instinctive, something shared by all humans. And Jung saw this dream, and others like it, as proof that there is this absolute unconscious that exists beyond just our own personal experiences.
Okay, that makes sense. So those dreams, they're not just random firings of neurons. They might actually be trying to tell us something important.
They might be, but the challenge then becomes, how do we understand them? How do we decipher the language of the unconscious? It's a symbolic language, after all.
It's like we need a translator for our dreams.
We do, and that's where the importance of interpreting those symbols comes in. Jung highlighted two key perspectives to consider.
Causal and final.
Right.
I was just reading about that.
Yes, the causal perspective asks, what caused the symbol to appear? We look at personal experiences, memories, emotions, but the final perspective asks, what purpose does this symbol serve? What is it trying to tell us?
So it's not just about analyzing the past, but understanding the present and maybe even getting a glimpse into the future.
You got it. Think about it this way. Jung once described a man who came to see him for the first time. This man dreamt of a bare room, a nurse offering him fermented milk, and his desire to see Dr. Jung. Turns out, consciously, the man was downplaying his need for psychological support.
But his dream was saying something else.
Exactly. It revealed this hidden truth, a deep recognition of his need for healing, that his conscious mind was resisting.
So his unconscious knew something his conscious mind didn't.
That's one way to look at it. Jung saw this as an example of how dreams can reveal hidden truths.
That's fascinating. So it's like our unconscious is always working behind the scenes, even when we're not aware of it. But sometimes those hidden truths, they can be pointing to something we don't necessarily want to face.
That's true, like those complexes Jung talked about. Unconscious, emotionally charged clusters of ideas and experiences that can really influence our behavior.
Oh yeah, those pesky skeletons in the cupboard. I remember Jung describing them as hidden forces that can make us act in ways we don't understand. It's like we're not entirely in control of ourselves.
Complexes definitely challenge that idea that we're always rational actors. They're proof that sometimes we don't have complete control over our consciousness. Fascinating, isn't it?
Absolutely. So Jung believed that understanding and integrating these complexes is key to understanding ourselves and becoming whole.
Exactly. It's all part of that journey toward individuation, but that's a whole other layer we can explore.
Well, on that note, I'm definitely ready to delve deeper into this fascinating world of the unconscious.
These complexes, they can be tough to deal with, but Jung gave us a way to work with them, this process he called active imagination.
Oh yeah, active imagination. I remember that. It's like having a conversation with different parts of yourself, right?
Well, you could put it that way. It's about engaging with the unconscious material directly, interacting with it.
But how do you actually do that? It sounds a little out there.
Well, there are different techniques, like Jung suggested writing down your dreams and then actually imagining a dialogue with the figures in the dream.
So, like, they're real people you're talking to.
Yeah. Or try painting or drawing the images that come up in your dreams or meditations. Anything that helps you engage creatively with those unconscious contents.
It's about respecting that material, giving it space to speak to us.
Exactly. And it ties into Jung's idea of individuation, that process of becoming a whole person. For him, that meant integrating the conscious and unconscious parts of ourselves, our light and shadow sides.
Accepting all of who we are, basically.
Exactly. And that's a lifelong process, really.
So how do we know if we're on the right track? With individuation, I mean.
Well, there's no one-size-fits-all answer. But Jung observed that as people move toward individuation, their dreams often become less frequent and intense.
Like things are calming down internally.
You could say that. The conscious and unconscious are finding a better balance.
It makes me think about those vivid, intense dreams you have when you're going through big life changes.
Yeah, those can be powerful. Maybe they're a sign we're still processing things, trying to integrate new experiences into our psyche. It's a possibility. Jung also noticed that dreams tend to change as we age. Early on, they often focus on external things like career, relationships.
The stuff that feels really important when you're younger.
But later in life, dreams might turn inward, reflecting a deeper search for meaning. Like, what's it all about?
I can definitely relate to that. As you get older, you start to question things you took for granted before.
Right. And it can be a time of upheaval, for sure, but also a time of tremendous growth. Jung believed that the second half of life is actually crucial for individuation. That's when we really grapple with those big existential questions.
I wonder if maybe synchronicity plays a role in that, too.
I mean, those meaningful coincidences.
Yeah. It's like the universe is trying to nudge us in a certain direction, giving us little hints.
Jung believed that synchronicity could be one way the unconscious communicates with us, sometimes using external events to guide us.
It's like those times when everything just seems to fall into place.
Or when you think of someone and then they call you right at that moment.
Exactly. It's almost spooky. So you're saying Jung thought there might be a deeper meaning to those events.
He did. He saw parallels in ancient practices like the I Ching, which uses a causal principle to gain insight. Jung's exploration of synchronicity really challenged us to question our assumptions about reality, to consider that maybe there's a hidden order to the universe, connecting things in ways we don't fully grasp.
It's a lot to take in, for sure. So if the psyche isn't just a product of matter, what does that even mean for how we understand ourselves and the world around us?
That's the big question, isn't it? Jung wrestled with that his whole life. His work pushes us to expand our view of reality. What if the psyche can actually influence matter? If synchronicity is real, it suggests a much deeper connection between mind and matter than we usually think about.
That's pretty mind-blowing. It's a lot to process, to be honest. Feels like we've barely scratched the surface of Jung's ideas.
We have. We haven't even touched on his work with alchemy or how he explored mythology or its connection to the psyche.
There's a whole world to discover in his writing.
There is. It's incredible how relevant his ideas still are today. In a world that can feel so chaotic and uncertain, Jung offers a way to find meaning, to find wholeness within ourselves.
And purpose. I think that's something we all crave, whether we realize it or not.
That's the power of Jung. He encourages us to go on that journey of self-discovery, to delve into those depths within ourselves, to connect with that wellspring of wisdom and creativity that's there in all of us.
Well, it's been an incredible journey so far. But before we wrap up our exploration of Jung's ideas, let's take a moment to reflect on what we've learned. Then, we'll finish with some final thoughts. All this stuff about the unconscious, synchronicity, it's fascinating, but it's also a lot to wrap your head around. How do we actually apply these ideas, like in our everyday lives, I mean?
That's a great question. It's easy to get lost in the abstract. I think one of the key takeaways here is to start paying more attention to our dreams, to our intuitions.
You're saying we should take them seriously?
Jung saw them as messages from the unconscious, offering us guidance, insights that we might miss when we're caught up in our daily routines.
So that dream journal I started and then abandoned, maybe I should dust that off.
I I'd say so, even if it's just jotting down a few images or feelings that stick with you. Those fleeting glimpses can offer a deeper understanding of what's going on beneath the surface.
Okay, I'm convinced. I'll give it another try. What else?
Another important takeaway is to cultivate a more nuanced view of ourselves, to acknowledge that we all have both light and shadow sides. Jung believed that denying our shadow only makes it stronger.
Right, but embracing our shadow, the stuff we'd rather keep hidden, it can feel kind of scary, can't it? Like inviting trouble into your life.
Well, it's not about condoning negative behavior. Remember, Jung didn't see the shadow as inherently evil or bad. It's just those aspects of ourselves that we've deemed unacceptable for whatever reason.
Often because of how we were raised or what society tells us.
Exactly. And those repressed qualities can actually cause problems if we don't acknowledge them.
It's like those complexes we talked about earlier, right?
Right.
Those unconscious knots of ideas and experiences that can trip us up.
Precisely. Think about it. A hidden resentment that you're not even aware of can sabotage your relationships.
Without you even realizing why it's happening.
Right. So Jung believed that by shining a light on those complexes, bringing them into conscious awareness, we can actually start to integrate them into our personality, to transform them from a source of weakness into a source of strength.
Sounds like a tall order.
It's not easy, that's for sure. It takes honesty and courage to face those uncomfortable truths about ourselves. But it's worth it. It's like that saying, what you resist persists. The more we try to deny those parts of ourselves, the more power they have over us.
I can see that. So shadow work, it's about accepting all of who we are, even the messy bits.
And often when we do that, we discover hidden talents and creative potential that we didn't even know we had. It's like those ancient myths and stories about heroes facing trials and tribulations. They confront their inner demons, battle those monsters, and come out transformed on the other side.
So individuation is kind of like a hero's journey.
Jung saw those myths as symbolic representations of the individuation process, reflecting the challenges and triumphs we all face on the path to wholeness. The hero's journey, the battle with the dragon, the descent into the underworld, these are all archetypal patterns embedded in our collective unconscious.
So even those fantastical stories can offer us insights into the workings of our own minds.
Exactly. And just as the hero emerges from the underworld victorious, transformed by their experiences, so too can we emerge from the depths of our unconscious, stronger and more whole. It's about confronting those personal dragons, those difficult relationships, career setbacks, and inner conflicts, and using those experiences as opportunities for growth and evolution.
That's a powerful way to think about it. So it's not about avoiding those difficult things, but about learning from them, using them to fuel our own transformation.
You got it. And maybe, just maybe, synchronicity plays a role in that process too. Those meaningful coincidences, maybe they're like signposts along the way, guiding us toward our true path, offering us glimpses into a hidden order, even challenging our understanding of cause and effect.
So instead of dismissing them as just random chance, we can see them as potential messages, nudges from the universe, or whatever you want to call it, offering us a new perspective.
Exactly. It's about being open to the unexpected, being willing to be surprised by life, and trusting that even when things feel chaotic, there might be a deeper meaning unfolding. Jung believed that by paying attention to synchronicity, we can actually align ourselves with those deeper currents of life, tap into a wisdom that goes beyond our rational understanding.
I love that. That even in the midst of all the chaos, there's still meaning to be found. It's really a beautiful vision, this idea that we're all part of something bigger than ourselves, connected in ways we can't even fully comprehend, and that even the most difficult experiences can be opportunities for growth and transformation.
That's the essence of Jung's message. It's a message of hope, a message of possibility in a world that can often feel fragmented and uncertain.
Well, this deep dive into the mind of Carl Jung has been quite a journey. We've explored the vast landscape of the psyche, delved into the hidden realms of the unconscious, and encountered the mysteries of synchronicity.
We've learned about those pesky complexes, those fascinating archetypes, and the transformative power of shadow work.
And I think the biggest takeaway for me is that this journey of self-discovery, it's not about reaching some final destination. It's about embracing the process, the ups and downs, the light and the shadow. It's about becoming more whole, more authentically ourselves.
Beautifully said. And as Jung himself said, the privilege of a lifetime is being who you are. So go out there and embrace your true self in all your glorious complexity and never stop exploring the mysteries of the psyche.
Until next time, keep diving deep.